welcome back to Mindset Devil. Detroit rapper Tee Grizzley is in a really bad position right now. He's being accused by many people on the internet of orchestrating, if not carrying out, one of the worst crimes imaginable. If these allegations turn out to be true, which I really hope they don't, he'd have to be one of the coldest and downright stupidest rappers to ever exist. What people and possibly even law enforcement are now speculating Tee Grizzley is responsible for would make YNW Melly and even Tay K look like a couple of choir boys. Let's have this discussion. On August 20th, 2019, Detroit rapper Tee Grizzley, real name Terry Sanchez Wallace Jr., was riding through the east side of the city with his aunt and manager, Jobina JB Brown. For Tee Grizzley, JB as she's affectionately called, was family in every sense of the word. But that night, she died a horrendous death when she was shot 8 times by an unknown assailant while sitting in the back seat of Tee's SUV.
Also, shots fired into an SUV, killing the manager and family member of a popular Detroit rapper. Off the top tonight at 11, investigators trying to determine if rapper Tee Grizzley was actually the intended target.
He was with his aunt when those shots were fired on Detroit's east side. Jermont Terry is live tonight. Jermont, was the rapper hurt at all?
Kimberly, tonight we know the Detroit rapper was one of 3 people inside that car when the shots went off. Now, when they're in that shooting, the rapper's aunt died, but he was not injured. Detroit police responded to the area of 3 Mile Drive just off Mack Tuesday night on the city's east side. They were out to collect evidence of multiple bullet casings regarding the deadly shooting here. It turns out someone opened fire on a black Chrysler with 3 people inside. Among those inside the vehicle, Detroit rapper Tee Grizzley.
We made it out of Lansing after all that happened. After Michigan State, after Hubbard, when our mans told him.
Tee Grizzley rose to fame when he released his first single, First Day Out. He was nominated for an MTV and BET Awards for the single.
The bands they took from us, Joy Road.
Police don't know if the rapper was the intended target or not, but what's clear, his aunt, who worked as his manager, along with another young man, were all in the vehicle Tuesday night. That's when someone intentionally shot the vehicle, killing the 41-year-old manager. We don't know if anything was stolen or if this was an attempted robbery, but police say the rapper and friends were in the area to visit someone. The investigation shows when a man stepped out of their vehicle, the first of several shots filled the air. We don't know if the rapper was still inside the car when the shots went off or not. Now, Tee Grizzley's music video has more than 130 million views. Again, the rapper was not injured, but unfortunately, his aunt passed away. Over the phone, Tee Grizzley's family members tell us that the aunt leaves behind some children. They did not want to comment further. This is an open investigation tonight. Reporting live outside DPD headquarters, Jermont Terry, Local 4.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of questions still need to remain for what happened here. All right, thanks, Jermont.
At first, it looked like one of those senseless street killings. Maybe a hit gone wrong. Maybe T was the target, and JB just happened to be collateral damage. That's what people were speculating in the beginning. Even the police said they weren't sure if the bullets were meant for him or someone else. No arrests, no suspects, just a cold case and a cold body. T's aunt was gone, and he was crushed. You could hear it in the pain of his tribute track, Satish. The opening line hits harder than most people realized at the time. Loved each other way more than we loved life. We so close, people thought we had a love life. But now, years later, some strange things are coming to light. Fast forward to July 2025. A man named Wu Thang, not just some random killer, but a Chicago affiliate of the infamous 600 crew, has just been officially charged in the murder of JB. And that's where this whole thing starts to get real dark, real quick. Because Wu Thang, he's not just your ordinary run-of-the-mill street dude. He grew up with Booka 600. He's been in videos with 600 Breezy, and he's tied in heavy with the drill scene back in Chicago. And guess who has a known relationship with Booka? None other than our boy Tee Grizzley. Booka's the one who introduced T to Lil Durk, which led to a whole wave of collaborations. And Booka even served as best man at Tee Grizzley's wedding after JB's hit. So these weren't strangers, these weren't ops, this was his circle. Some may even call them Tee Grizzley's Chicago connection. And apparently, Tee Grizzley's own family knew that the 600 crew might have been involved in what happened to JB, because they were already pissed at Tee for hanging around the same dudes they believed had something to do with her being taken out. So why would Tee still be hanging out with them? Because maybe they all had something on each other. Maybe they had to maintain friendships, keep up appearances, and seem trustworthy around each other. And get this, as we speak, rapper Lil Durk is in federal prison, charged with ordering a hit on a rapper he had personal beef with, Quando Rondo. That attempt was unsuccessful, and instead of Quando Rondo being rubbed out, his cousin, Lil Pab, was caught in the crossfire and became the only casualty.
And for 3 people who police say shot at a Savannah rapper, killing a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras captured the aftermath. Shots fired, a fight taken to the streets, and this chaotic scene, the ending of a shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV. Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight. It all started at this mobile gas station at 5:30 Friday evening. LAPD says witnesses heard multiple gunshots, then watched a couple cars zoom off. 3 people in one car shot at this black Cadillac Escalade. It's unclear if those inside shot back.
Can I get some space, please?
It ended at Santa Monica Boulevard. Deputies found it peppered with bullet holes and a shattered window. One man inside, a member of Rondo's entourage, had been shot. The 23-year-old was taken to the hospital where he died. The scene left with remnants of the fight, shoes left in the street, doors flung open. The suspects still on the run. We still don't know what spurred it all, but LAPD says it started at a gas pump.
Victim vehicle, they pulled up, they were pumping gas, and it looks like they probably finished pumping gas, and the suspects approached from the alley, got out of the car, and started shooting at those victims.
Investigators are still trying to piece together details, but they're looking for a white 4-door sedan with suspects wearing dark clothing.
Police helicopters overhead, so we knew something was up.
People in the neighborhood shocked by the news.
Disappointed. There have been a lot of incidents in the past couple of years. It does seem that things have been happening more often on Melrose, between Fairfax and Melrose and around here. Months
after that, the feds are now trying to pin another earlier murder on Durk, the one that allegedly avenged the killing of his older brother, D-Thang. If these charges against Durk are proven true, it shows Lil Durk and his affiliates clearly have no problem crossing state lines to assassinate someone for the right price. Now, if you're new to the channel and haven't seen my informative and compelling breakdowns on the Lil Durk case, make sure to check those out after this video for even more insight. But back to the subject at hand. Some people are now saying Tee Grizzley might have had something to do with the ruthless assassination of his aunt JB. Crazy, right? But not when you really start to analyze the police reports, the conflicting stories Tee has told, and what people close to the case are now saying. 1 minute he was in the car when JB got shot, according to the original police report. The next minute, Tee says he was at the side entrance to his cousin's house about to step inside when the shots rang out. The wildest theory floating around? That Tee may have orchestrated the hit on JB because she owned part of his music catalog and was allegedly pregnant with his child. I know, it sounds like Jerry Springer meets First 48. But in 2025, you can't put anything past anybody. The only problem is, even if one or both of those things were true, what kind of logic would that be? If his motive was about the music catalog, deleting her wouldn't guarantee he'd get her share. I'm sure she wouldn't have made him the sole beneficiary. She likely had her own family, her own people she'd leave that to. Unless Tee was her only heir, which seems unlikely. It makes no sense. And if she was pregnant by him, then what? Did she threaten to keep the baby against his will? Unless both of them were ready to be disowned by their families? I doubt they would agree to go through with that. But then again, anything is possible. Some say she was betraying her husband, Tee's uncle, who was incarcerated, by getting too close with Tee during their time in business together. Still, that's all just speculation. But after an autopsy, it was confirmed Jobina Brown was not pregnant. So, that motive falls apart instantly. Let's go back to what Tee himself said in a 2019 interview about that night. He claimed he and JB had just left the studio and headed to his cousin's house. They were supposed to go inside, but JB didn't want to. She apparently didn't like dirty homes, so she stayed in the car with Tee's driver. Tee goes inside. As his cousin opens the front door, multiple loud gunshots ring out.
So, the night everything happened, man, can you kind of go over that night with us? I know y'all was at the studio. I seen you on your Instagram.
Yeah, so we was at the studio with Guapo and Jay Swan or whatever. And I'm going off my cousin's house, my older cousin. He was real close with my pops, just like my pop's brother. And I always try to, you know what I'm saying, show him some love, because that's another wound we really ain't healed from.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I went over there, and I was telling her, like, come in the house. And she like, no, I don't want to go in. I'm begging her to come in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain areas, you just can't, you just got to move right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't about where you at. I could go anywhere I want to.
Right.
But I got to move right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm moving right, can't nothing happen to me. So I'm telling her to come in the house. She like, no. Because JB was kind of like funny acting about dirty houses.
Okay.
And stuff like that. The house wasn't even dirty, but to her, she just a clean, real clean person.
Okay.
It's like, no, I don't want to go in them people's house. I don't want to sit on their furniture and all that stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll be right back. So I'm knocking on the door. My people's taking so long to come to the door. You know what I'm saying? And they finally come to the door. As soon as I see her, as soon as I see my auntie, she got up and watch her. A whole bunch of shots going off. You know what I'm saying? Behind me, I hear a whole bunch of shots going off. So I get down because I'm thinking they about to come to the side and start, you know what I'm saying, shooting at me, and I ain't got nothing on me at the time. My cousin ran out with a gun. I'm like, perfect. So he ran out on the street. When we ran out, my driver was gone with no cars out there. I'm like,
She was in the. So where was the vehicle? She was in the car. Like,
she was in the car.
Okay.
She was in the car on the street. So my cousin ran out with the gun or whatever, and we ran out in the front to see what's going on, and to, if somebody up on us, we gonna get them off us.
Tee hits the ground thinking someone's coming for him. He doesn't have a gun on him, so his cousin grabs his own and they rush back outside. But by then, the SUV was gone. Tee said he wasn't too worried at first. He didn't see broken glass or anything that looked too crazy, just assumed the driver pulled off.
So once we got outside, once we got in the front where they was at, my driver gone. There's no cars out here.
Okay, wait, let me ask you. So was you had to enter the back door or something?
Yeah, I was
side door. Okay, I get you. Okay.
But basically, I don't even know what's going on at this point.
Okay.
So we in the front, I look in the street. I don't see no glass in the street, so I'm like, oh, they straight. You know what I'm saying? That's probably some, I didn't even think this had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
You feel me?
Right.
But my cousin still came out there with the gun though. So I was cool with going out there. I'm like, I ain't see no glass in the street. I'm thinking they heard some shots and pulled up.
Okay.
So now I'm mad now. Like, y'all heard them shots, why would y'all leave me over here?
Right.
You feel me? You could at least call me and told me, like, it's too much going on over here, come on, we gone. I was saying to my driver, ended up calling me, like, and told me what happened. So basically what happened, they walked up to my door and opened my door. You know what I'm saying? Some niggas opened my door, trying to get at me. Ended up hitting her up.
Where'd they hit her on the body?
They hit her on her side and in her arm. She didn't get hit her face, and I just all on her side. You feel me?
But then, reality hit. His driver called him, told him someone opened Tee's passenger door, didn't see Tee inside, and shot JB 8 times while she was in the back seat. The driver sped off and flagged down police a few blocks away. And although she was shot 8 times, JB didn't die instantly. She was able to call Tee from the ambulance on the way to the hospital. He said he couldn't understand what she was saying, and then, just like that, she was gone. Let's really get into the mindset of Tee Grizzley here. He claimed he didn't know who did it, but admitted he thought about taking revenge. Revenge? On who? If he didn't know who was responsible, who was he planning to retaliate against? He said he thought the shots were meant for him. If that's true, then he had beef, and he probably had a good idea who it was. He even admitted that his own family blamed him. They felt he should have died that night, and not JB. Tee himself even said, "They feel like it should have been me, and it should have been. Because it was for me." Now let that sink in. If it really was for him, why was JB hit with such precision? 8 shots, and why was the driver spared? Were they following Tee that night? If so, why didn't they hit him before he got out of the vehicle? Unless JB was the intended target all along. But why? That's the million-dollar question. Let's talk about how the arrest of Wu Thang breaks this case wide open. Apparently, he was arrested in the stolen getaway car used in JB's murder. Not only that, the gun used in the hit was recovered in his possession. And his cell phone? That's where it gets real. Cell tower data placed Wu Thang not just in Detroit, but on the same block where Tee's cousin lived, 2 hours before Tee and JB pulled up. So they weren't followed, they were waited for. Which means Wu Thang and whoever he was with knew Tee was getting out of that car, and that JB would be alone. And now, sources say Wu Thang is talking. Allegedly, he told police that Tee Grizzley paid him to carry out the hit. That's a bombshell. Did Tee go to Booka 600 or Lil Durk to make it happen? Because if Durk had hit squads ready to move on Quando Rondo and even the dude that allegedly killed his own brother, what's stopping him from doing the same for Tee? And with Wu Thang's ties to that circle, it raises serious questions. Why did Tee change his story? First he was in the car, then he wasn't. That's not a detail you forget. Either survivor's guilt or something darker. And remember, Wu Thang was riding around in the stolen car for days after the hit, like a damn fool, still had the weapon on him, and when the cops caught him, they traced his movements via cell phone tower data. He wasn't in Chicago, he was in Detroit. And according to Poetic Flacco's channel, shout out to Poetic Flacco for getting the exclusive information on this case, but once the police told him he wasn't going home ever again, Wu Thang dropped Tee Grizzley's name as the mastermind, who paid him to delete JB.
The rumors that Tee Grizzley paid for his aunt/manager to be killed started off as a simple conspiracy. It's now escalated to the point where the murder suspect defense is in court saying that Tee Grizzley paid for the hit.
Now, so far, this is all allegations coming from a man under pressure. But if it turns out to be true, Tee Grizzley is done for. They're throwing away the key. So if I was him, he'd better start dropping a bunch of new music now because he's going to need every dollar of commissary he can stack. Maybe it was just a tragic mistake. Maybe JB really was collateral damage in a war she had nothing to do with. But what if it wasn't? What if this was some Shakespearean rap tragedy? Fame, betrayal, family secrets, and a motive nobody wants to believe. Or worse, one we'll never know the truth about? Because if the whispers in the street are true, then Tee Grizzley didn't just lose his aunt that night. He lost the last person who really believed in him. And the worst part? What if he's the one who made that happen? And that, my friends, that's the darkest part of this whole thing. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and I really appreciate that. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel to join our power structure if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next one.